a lot of people believe that the Yamaha R7 would find more takers than the RS660. I did a comparison video last week and talked about why that would be the case. However, do realize that so far, nobody is really talking about why the introduction of the Yamaha R7 would actually make the Kawasaki ZX6R a much more attractive package. Is that even a fair comparison, some would ask? Well, since the R7 is being called the Super Sport, and the price point is in the same area, it's worth looking at. If you like the idea of comparing these two bikes, please hit the like button to help more people watch this video. Having said that, let's first get the price difference out of the way. And I'll round off the dollar figure so I can talk faster and retain your attention because, your time is valuable and I've got timestamps in the video to save you some more. The standard version of the R7 costs $9,000 and the standard ZX6R costs $10,200. So at the surface level, that looks like a $1,200 difference. However, the R7 has ABS as standard and the ZX6R has quick shifter as standard. So to make it a fair price comparison, let's add the optional quick shifter to the R7 and compare it with the ABS ZX6R without the KRT stickers, cause why would I pay for the stickers? Now we're looking at a price difference of $1,800, and for those $1,800 you're getting more power, 56 horsepower to be precise, a smooth inline 4 engine that screams like a devil and revs to the sky, traction control that can be switched off, 2 power modes, and a legitimate super sport bike that's been around for 26 years. And here's the interesting thing, on a ZX6R, there are more ways than one to save more money and make the difference smaller. More about that at the end of the video, but first let's compare the two bikes on important parameters without getting too nerdy. First thing that strikes us are the looks. Even though I've been riding the ZX6R for the past 2 years and the looks have kind of grown on me, I can't deny that the Yamaha just looks better. Plus, if you're in the parking lot or at the bike night with an R7, at least for the next year or so, you could get a lot of attention because it's a brand new model, everybody's just going to be curious about it. However, I can't say the same thing about the sound, because it looks like an R6 but sounds like an MT-07. So you could have confused people going, why does the R6 sound so tame? And then you'll have to go, no, it's not an R6, it's a twin cylinder and that's why it sounds like that. And I know that comparing looks and sounds might be too superficial or even shallow, but let's face it, it does matter to a lot of us. What matters more though is the performance. The Yamaha R7 engine at 73 horsepower makes significantly less power than the 130 horsepower of the ZX6R. So that's not even a question. Bigger question is, for most riders, is 73 horsepower enough power, or could they enjoy the 130 horsepower of the ZX? Having ridden the ZX6R on the streets and at the track for the past 2 years, I can share my experience with you and help you make up your mind about that. The whole R7 pitch is that it's more streetable, has just enough power for you to use on the street, and it's also a capable bike on the track. And I agree with that, and that's exactly why the ZX6R is a perfect competitor for the R7. I rode the ZX6R on the streets up until the end of 2020 and then switched it to a track setup bike. Another video about that some other day, but while I rode the streets, I regularly made 200 to 300 mile trips to picturesque locations in Florida, dealt with bad traffic, bad drivers, rain, everything that one comes across on the streets. And in my experience, the ZX6R is surprisingly streetable. It doesn't feel too heavy, I can easily swerve to avoid a car coming to a stop, the riding position is quite comfortable for a super sport, and the range is comparable to the R7 despite a lower fuel efficiency because the ZX6R has a bigger tank. The power delivery is quite linear and I have enough low and mid-range usable on the streets. So if you think about it, the ZX6R is as streetable and comfortable as the R7 but with a little more tech and a lot more power. But did I ever need to use the 130 horsepower of the ZX6R on the streets? Honest answer, no I did not. But could I have used it safely? Let me share my potentially controversial opinion. Yes, I could have. Going fast or accelerating hard does not by default make you reckless or unsafe. If you're cautious and aware of your surroundings and you know what you're doing, you can enjoy the power and still stay within your limits. And to help you stay within your limits, the ZX6R has 2 power modes and 4 traction levels. Another aspect of having more power is that while I may not need or use it regularly, it's good to know that if or when I need it, I have it on tap. On the Yamaha R7, I would miss that feeling, especially when the price difference isn't very encouraging. On the Yamaha R7, there's no way to save money or get any discounts for the next year or so, since it will sell like hotcakes thanks to the hype. It's $9,000 firm, or $9,200 if you want a quick shifter. On the other hand, the ZX6R is an existing model, unchanged from the past few years, so you can get more bang for the buck by either looking up deals at dealerships that still have the 2019 or 2020 model on the floor, or even negotiate price if you know how to do that. Or if you have the appetite and patience for it, get a used one that's in good condition and save even more money. I might be coming across as dissuading people from buying the Yamaha R7, but in reality, I'm just highlighting that the value proposition of the R7 is not all that great if you compare it with the ZX6R. I do think that the R7 might work much better for two types of riders. One, people who are considering it for getting into racing at the Twins Cup. That's a very specific niche though. And two, people who prefer a gradual progression from a smaller bike before they get to a bigger, more powerful bike. But if you have an appetite for a little bit more fun without being reckless and you consider yourself to be an intermediate rider, the ZX6R would be a much better choice over the R7, and the fun factor and excitement would last much longer. And I'm not even talking about how the two bikes compare at the track, because that's a whole another video. Next week, I will talk about another interesting aspect of the Yamaha R7 that hasn't got its due attention, so consider subscribing to get notified about it. Also, let me know what's your opinion. Do you prefer the R7 or the ZX6R? This is Faraz, talking as fast as I can.